Good evening. Hello. It is day 96, which I said it was yesterday, but that was not the case. It was day 95. We're here. It's happening. Yeah. Oh, hey, this could work. I don't have a ribbon, so this could be beneficial. Hold, please. We're still live. We're still coming to you live. All will be explained. You can't even see that because it completely blends in, but I think it works. So, teal on teal on teal on teal is the deal. Teal's the real deal. Simplicity is key here tonight. Honestly, I just want to get through it. That's not how I should be facing it. I should be facing it like, let's talk about it and process it. But I actually just want to get through it. So I'll keep that honesty in the ether here and just make it clear that I wasn't super stoked on myself or this or anything today. And you know, you're getting familiar with the saga, with the tale, with the story that I feel blah 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 blah, like I know thousands of people and I can't get to 50 subscribers, and I was just kind of hating myself and what do I do? Bleh. It started to rain. My dog has horrible anxiety attacks when it thunders, and it did. So he did, and he just shakes and convulses, and it makes me feel my own anxiety, and there you have it. It's hard. Thus begins the long summer of thunder and anxiety. And I originally thought I was going to do, there was actually a couple of rap, hip-hop kind of stylings that I started practicing and working on, and then just feeling like I'm not good enough to present this. This isn't memorized enough, and I'm not slick enough, and I don't have a beat to it, and this sucks. And the defeat getting in the way of the beat. And I guess this one, while not any fun whatsoever to present to you, did feel more important because I did the thing I've been crutching on, which is looking up, well, what is it the National Day of? And maybe I could do that. And there's all these ones that are, there's all these poems ones. It's not really proper. I'm not worried about being proper, but there's all of these poems that are very strong, but I am standing in my own way, or like I talked about yesterday, walking around myself thinking I'm not good enough to give you my good poems on certain days, or like I should save them for days that I'm feeling better or something. It's so weird, the psychology of just trying to present yourself and not resent yourself, and yeah, just be authentic without having a nervous breakdown on camera. Because what's authentic for me right now, honestly, is feeling like I'm 35, I don't know what to do with my life, I don't have a degree, I don't have children will be difficult to me, is it okay to even bring children into this world, what do I do, how do I make money, I don't like anything anymore. And it feels difficult. Like I'm getting in my own way pretty frequently here. So, words, little gizmo sniffing at the camera, like, what are you doing? It's really okay, bud. It's really okay. He's a good boy. He's off camera, but he's there. You can come in my lap if you want to. If you need to be with me, you can. Come here. You can be in my lap. Yep. Mommy probably needs the comfort. Come on up. Gizmo. Come on up. You're not making this an easy scene here, bro. Okay. I'm comforted. He's comforted. We're all right. So, it's the National Day of a lot of blah blah things, but it also happens to be the National SAAM Action Day, which is, and I didn't realize this, that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. and that the action day for that, which is like take action against that, is the first Tuesday of the month, which is today, day 96. Got to fix that yesterday was not 96, it was day 95. But we're rolling along. It's okay. Hopefully these get more popular when I make it to 365 anyway, and it won't matter. But, or tomorrow or something. Hello, are you out there? Anybody in the ether? Doesn't matter. For those of you who are with me, thank you. Sincerely. It's what I've got right now. It's what I've got right now. You're looking at it. I mean, I have a lot more. There's a lot more that I have. But in terms of, like, what I'm proud of or what I feel like, what do you do? What are you doing? Like, this is it. So, thank you, truly, for being with me, if you are. Hey, I brought this just in case. I was thinking, it's teal. I'll tell you why. I'm feeling more angry than anything, but hey, some tears might come. So it was saying on the National Day of website that it's a green ribbon, and I was looking for green, and I was thinking to myself, like, in this weird kind of relief, well, at least it's not teal. And then I looked at like 10 other sources, and it is teal. Come on, see, this is why they need to hire me, the National Day of Committee, because it ain't green, guys, it's teal, and there's a difference. There's green, which is green. Like, can I get it in the scene? Can I get my green in the scene? Ooh, dropping my whole poem, of course I am. Got a dog on me. There's green. And then there's teal. And it's a pretty distinct differentiation, so you gotta get your color palette in order there, National Day of Committee. But I looked at a whole bunch of other sources, and it is in fact teal. And for a second I felt kind of like, ugh, about that. Like, oh, well, okay, I guess I will embrace that. I don't want to, but then I chose instead to just feel empowered about it. Like, yes, that's something I've survived through, and honestly, as horrible as it is to admit or think about, I don't know that I know any women who haven't experienced it. And that's the crazy part, is it's way more shocking to not know people who have gone through it, men or women, honestly. It's more shocking to not know anybody, like, oh, you don't know anyone who's survived sexual assault? Okay. That's the shocking thing, and that sucks. That the commonality is that we all know someone. That's the truth of it. So it was really interesting also because I just kind of was digging through the research of it, and I will list some resources on here. Try to. It's pretty easy to find them. Easy to find the resources, not necessarily easy to break away from the torment. Unfortunately, despite the abundance of resources. But it was weird because the teal ribbon is associated with a lot of things that pertain to me, which is odd. And again, I'm not gonna like own these things like, oh, I'm the worst case scenario of all these things, because I'm not, and that's not what it's about anyway. It's just about empathy. But the teal ribbon is also associated with agoraphobia, which, yes, I know. Like, I am not a full-blown agoraphobic. I can and have and do occasionally leave my house, but it's gotten kind of bad for me, guys. It's gotten kind of bad for me, where, like, just even that video where I went down to the end of my street, I walked just to the end of my street, which is not far. I felt legitimate fear that something bad was going to happen to me. And when that weird car backed in and backed up slowly into my neighborhood, I was terrified. And it's gotten pretty serious for me, where I don't ever want to go anywhere, and it sucks, and I don't want to be this person, but it's started to affect me pretty badly. People's aggression and energy and lack of empathy and need to be the one who's there getting the thing first, and they were there, and you get out of their way. I don't like it anymore. I'm not into it. So it's been palpably difficult. Also, PTSD awareness. Check. Yes. Got that. For reasons that I don't have the mental capacity to get into right now, but yes siree. Anxiety disorder. Yuppers. You betcha. Substance abuse awareness. I have never personally abused substances. I've leaned into marijuana a little too heavily, but I, like most people, again, this is the norm, have seen a lot of substance abuse in my life. Gizmo's licking me furiously, comforting me. He knows that I'm a little high-strung right now. The awareness for OCD, again, have it very mildly. I know some people actually who have it really bad, like really bad. One of my friends was doing, they thought exposure therapy was the only thing that was going to work for their OCD, and it was really severe. I mean, they had her listening to these CDs that were like, you left the toaster plugged in and everything you think is going to happen happened, and it burned your house down and your dog is on fire and everything you love is burning. Like, she would have to listen to these exposure CDs because that was like the only way to face the severe crippling OCD. So I have it in a much, much, much lesser extent, much more watered down than that, but I can become really obsessed to a point of total immobility about certain things, which I'm also not going to get into because it'll start making me feel those things. And if you know, you know. If you know, you know. So, yeah, just odd. And then Tourette's, which I don't have, but I do know several people who do have, and I've always had, I've had a couple crushes on people with Tourette's, and I've always just kind of wanted to learn a lot about it, probably since I was like 6 or 7. I like have read everything about it, watched everything about it, and just had a lot of empathy for that lack of control. Because being an actor, I feel like one of my greatest assets really as a person is being able to prove to people that, like, it's fine. I'm good. How are you? I'm good. It's great. Or just whatever, those subtleties that you can't hide. Must be really scary. I think that is a really scary feeling. And just the, something overtaking you. I know that I can relate to that emotionally, but physical overtaking, very scary. So those are most of the things. There was a couple others that really didn't pertain to me at all, so I didn't list them. Because they were just too far from my spectrum of understanding. But a lot of those, I was like, okay, wow, this color, this thing that I am, is really blanketed in a lot of these. For whatever reason, they picked teal for these specific things. How odd. So I put on my little teal flower because I don't have a teal ribbon in my simple teal shirt, and I'm here under the teal angel because, she's providing mercy. She's providing help. And that's what this SAAM, S-A-A-M, Sexual Assault Awareness Month Day of Action is about. Is not just listening and going, that must suck, but providing something, whether it's an option, a thought, an idea, a helping of real love, not just like, oh, that's too bad, but like love. And unfortunately, talked to a friend tonight who's backsliding into a relationship I think is absolutely putrid and toxic for them. And there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to call out any details about that because I don't want to call them out. I mean, privately, I have tried and will keep trying. But it's really common. That is so common. Just, the worst, most despicable things a person could ever do to you, and now you're back there with them. and you found, oh god, I can't even, I'm not going to call out the details, but they're vile. They're actually just pretty vile. And so I feel agitated. I feel very like on edge. Like there's not enough that I can do. I don't know what to do, and they don't live here. So it's just like this feeling, and it's, you know, this isn't like, oh, once in a blue moon, a friend of mine makes a really shit decision with a really fucking god awful person. I'm not going to say just women, because I do know some men who have experienced the turntables. Not many. I mean, let's call it for what it is. Mostly it's women. But yeah, just choosing to swim towards that hellmouth when you're like, hey, the shore is over here. Like, the safety, the love, the cool drink of water, this way. And they're going right for the sharks and the vortex. What are those things called? Is it a sinkhole when it's just going into the abyss in the middle of a body of water? Why are you swimming towards that? Like, holy crap. So this was painful for me. It's just tough. It's tough. There's no makeup on my face. It's tough to talk about. It's tough to reflect back on the you that you were then and go, the fuck? Like, as if you didn't know, as if you aren't smart enough to see what was happening to you. And I say in this poem about this person that he never laid a hand on me. And I left it in the poem really honestly because I didn't have the mental energy to go back and edit it. I have a hard time saying that for some reason. But he did. I mean, I will say he didn't hit me. He never hit me. But that doesn't mean that he didn't lay hands on me. You're with me. Pretty vile, pretty horrible. This person put their next partner in the hospital. Physical violence. And I know it could have been so much worse for me. Oh my goodness, do I ever know that it could have been significantly worse. So I'm happy that I am not anywhere near that sinkhole. One of their nicknames has hole in it because it's fitting. I'm not going to say it because it gives too much away. But, wow. Yeah, just the jaws that we get way too close to. Those wolf jaws. The better to fucking devour you with, right? Scary. It's really scary. And this is not my only experience with this terrible consuming fire of liars and human soul decay. It's not my only rodeo that I chose to partake in, chose to be a rodeo clown, like, yeah, come get me. I'll be your punching bag and your scapegoat and your embodiment of everything you hate about women. Sure. I can take it. Whew. So, not the first one, but, I came across a couple days ago, actually when I was digging for my Mary Magdalene poem, which I never found. I found some scraps and fragments of thoughts about this person, which I wove together into this poem. And it's not my favorite. I don't like the way it sounds. I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is great poetry. I don't like the feeling of the words in my mouth. It feels gross. And I'm probably going to need to brush my teeth afterwards. But it's important. It's the only thing that I could find that felt important, because while getting, calling up Strawberry Milk and having her come over and do her routine and do her thing is cool, and those thoughts are also valid. This just struck me as far more important, and to read about the action and not do the action is a lack of action. So I don't want to do that. I want to do the action. So that's what I'm doing. I pulled this thing down too because it's teal and very just soothing, just calming, something to focus on that, it's okay, bud. Something to focus on that contains beauty, and you can put beauty in it. It's okay. It's okay, little sweet guy. It's good to have a little comfort snuggle bud when you're dealing with material like this. And I'm like sweating, I'm like sweating all over the paper. Ugh. It's just, it's not enjoyable. And then when you speak real truth about one of these instances, typically you tend to start to remember more. And you're like, what else did I shove down into a deep, dark basement of my psyche and lock and block and insist that it was fine. There's nothing down here. It's fine. Let's go into the kitchen, you know? Like, you start to remember a lot more of those things. And it's just weird. It's weird to be a person who looks in the mirror and sees like this very strong, independent woman who is for herself, and then be in these situations and then later reflect on these situations of youth that you didn't even realize was youth because you thought you were so grown, and be like, my goodness, was that ever damaging? And what parts do you gotta go in and heal? Because that's the part, that's the action part, is that you cannot just leave those parts of yourself unattended to. You must attend to them and mend them. It's very important. So, hey, cool, I'm just feeling pretty out of my body. I think another one of the teal awareness things was a dissociative identity disorder, and I do know someone with that as well, and I can say that I have experienced what that feels like. I don't have that in terms of a like diagnosable thing like I do with anxiety disorder, but I can relate to it, and I know where it comes from. And it does come from those things in the basement festering so horribly that you just leave the house of your mind and your body, and you just leave. The rot is too terrible, and you cannot face it, and so you just gotta go somewhere else. Or I know it can happen for a variety of other reasons. I'm not a psychologist, though my therapist says that I would have been a good one if I liked school, but I sure don't. But I do have a really a broad way of relating. A broad way. I have an expansive way of relating to people and hearing them out and not judging them, but being able to trace and understand where all of these really complex things come from. So, okay, I'm just going to get through it. I'm trying to run from it. Even right now, I'm trying to run from it, but I'm just going to do the poem. Again, I'm not trying to talk badly of myself, but this was thrown together a little bit based on things the people who were trying to take action with me and say like, hey, Teal, about that Prince Charming you're with, oh boy, that's not what he is. And I pieced together some of those scribbles of advice I had written down and just wove it into this experience. And I'm a little delirious and quite burnt out on my own thoughts, if I'm being frank. Or Teal. I'll be frank. It might be a little easier to just be frank right now. Get a mustache and be frank. Okay. Still running from it. Here I go. So, today's poem is called Bright Blue Eyes That Were a Convincing Disguise. Ooh, and there goes my eye twitch. Okay, so yeah, it's psychology, people. It's psychology. Bright blue eyes that were a convincing disguise. How the hell did I let you fill my view? Allow me to add you to my skin tattoo. Congrats there, feller, you just pierced right on through. It's all a hall of mirrors and you'll never grasp the view. 'Cause your eyes were always shut, and turns out your heart was shut too. And what my wise friend said was so true. The guy who has the least amount going for them acts like they have the most. The ones who boast, you gotta make them like burnt toast and toss that shit. They come off as the most amiable, and they are actually disdainful, the hardest to get along with. They've been beating themselves up before you ever opened your mouth. He looks like the brave knight, but girl, he is the dragon. And after the fire comes, you wonder, why didn't you run? I guarantee he only yelled at you when no one was around. And when someone else entered the room, you likely didn't know you were invisibly gagged and bound. But clearly you were. He was the villain of love, not the hero, the terrifying captor. My mother also saw my confidence fractured. Never ever follow a man who has turned his back on you, she told me. Once he's walking away from you, he's waiting for you to run after him with something to prove, so he can justify unleashing something terrible on you. He wants to knock you down, and he's waiting for you to prove that he should. He's a young, changing man in training to be a full-blown sociopath. Don't sacrifice yourself onto the wrath of that unspoken training. He's got that perfect facade to pull the reins on women who want to believe his physical beauty is a sign of what's within. That Joker grin, I don't know how you didn't see it. Tall, blonde, blue-eyed, vicious dragon. Something terrible happened to him in California. Nothing normal brought him under the roof of his religious zealot parents. And there you were to pick him up morning, noon, and night to bear it. He was starved for someone to feed off of, and there you were like a glistening banquet. Some people witness domestic abuse and recognize how to stop it in their own life, and others, more commonly, just grow up to wield that knife of anger. They mutate into the thing they hate. Sadly, it's such a regular outcome that those who are abused find someone to abuse, rather than find a healthy way to heal. Men aren't shown how to deal with it. They're often wrangled into fighting in wars because they haven't found their own cause or honor. So they get a gun in their hands just to take on someone else's version of a cause or honor. He has nothing honorable of his own coursing through his veins. It's in his pupils, and it's insane. Always hard when your mother is right. Why did I fight all this good advice? I remember one night I woke him up to tell him something sweet I had been thinking. He said I was suffocating him and a complete moron. I was careful with my breathing then. He was like an irritable toddler teething, and I kept telling myself he was just a misunderstood man. He never put his hands on me, but he threatened to. His words of poison were sure soaked through all the hope I had tried to imbue. I was so patient, and he was so crude. I told him that I was bisexual, and I was terrified as the rage in him stewed. His bulging forehead veins cued me in that his reaction was going to be volcanic. He called me sick and a bitch. He said, "Do you know what that does to a man? Do you? I can't stand to be around you. You want to castrate me? You look me in the eyes and castrate me? You idiot. And I just let myself sit in that shit. I froze and let him deliver mental blow after horrible blow. I didn't even know how to speak in those moments. He'd freak on me, and there would be many. When I look back at my self-worth at that time, I question if I had any. That night I was careful not to breathe too loud. I knew I should get up and leave right then, be gone in a cloud of smoke. And the fact that I stayed doesn't make me feel proud. I later scribbled this note about him, but still stuck it out longer. Wish I'd been stronger. I wrote it small, thinking maybe he would find it near my bed and unleash on me again. I remember squeezing my pen, feeling so stuck. I scribbled, "You drink past the very capacity of your drunkenness, and you want to call me the fucking punk in this, when it's you who is bunk and a miss. I just sunk into your abyss, and I'm still wishing I could pull all the fractured bits of your lodged with venom. I could pull the fractured bits of you, lodged with venom superglue, into my remaining hopeful parts. The word shrapnel doesn't even start to cover it. I can smother it like a stove fire, and still the toxic smoke mixes with your constant lit cigarettes and billows higher. No one sees the smoke signals or knows that I'm trapped inside your canyon. You conspired to lead me in so deep that my yelling and shouting would, on the outside, barely make a peep. I hate the way you painted me. I look only like a girl mired in defeat. You meant to depict me as weak. And perhaps I am, 'cause I'm still in this corner, jammed right where you shoved me. How did I ever let you convince me that you loved me?" My mother had more reflections when I finally got wise enough to see that these were more than just subtle warnings I wrote in the dark. Good thing I did, because he'd put a girl in the hospital the next time he couldn't help but erupt. He didn't just put his hood up, my mom reflected. He hid his scorned, neglected darkness inside his hoodie in the middle of July when it was over 100 degrees out. If you ask a man with no honor or confidence for anything, they will say, "Nothing's ever enough for you," while boiling inside and turning blue. Then they'll pull you in softly the next moment and promise to be true. As long as someone else is always the problem for him, he never has to face his demons or go through it. He will lead 1,000,000 women to feel like troubled, flawed monsters, just to avoid the monster in himself. He has a wealth of dirty tricks. I always say the quickest, easiest way to get a woman to put your prick in their mouth or to get up their skirt or under their pants is to convince them in an envious way with a dance of words that they are so much better than the last chick. It's the old bait and switch. Unfortunately, I'm all too versed in it. He is fly paper, and to him women are predictable flies. He will work over every woman he ever meets in an attempt to process his own inadequacies and toxic mental illness. You were taking abuse. He was trying to hurt you and get you in trouble to counteract the hurt and trouble in his life. That's right. I forgot all about that slight. He got wasted at my work. I told him to pump the brakes. I asked him to wait for me outside, and he followed me back to the office. I told him he couldn't be physical with me at my job. So he came at me like a slob, grabbing my ass. My manager saw us, of course, and was angry, telling us to take it someplace else. I was already embarrassed, and when she turned her face, he made obscene gestures at her. She saw him reflected in the glass of the door and was floored by his immaturity. So, like a turd, he just pushed it more and said, "Sorry," like a sore 10-year-old scolded for no reason. I know he did it as treason against me. Why was he sent to me? I always wonder. I guess the triumphs can't happen without the blunders. He screamed at me because I didn't want to have sex when my gallbladder was failing. And now I know what a man's bellows are like. Now I know what a man's bellows are likely unveiling. I hope I can teach others that to admit the light you saw in someone wasn't actually there is not a form of failing. It's discovering vital truth. The fact that he didn't hurt me much worse is the definitive proof. Poof. So, that was uncomfortable. It's like when you feel like crying, but it just gets stuck as this like bile in your throat. Yeah, I don't know. That's it's a really tough one for me to face. I can't even like look at myself in the camera right now. It's like weird. I don't like how it feels. Yeah, so that's a pretty common story, unfortunately. I've just heard it from so many friends, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that women especially, gay, straight, rectangular, whatever they are, they just don't accept good advice about who they're with. They just don't. They never do. And it's really frustrating to me. And obviously I've been in that category, but that's the only way that sorry, there's like literally like it's like, that experience is just lodged in my throat a little bit. Feels shitty. Yeah, but he painted a picture of me that I just hated, and I have it in my basement still. Speaking of the emotional basement, I have it in my basement still to like, I guess my plan was always to fill it in myself, change it, like paint over it. Like that was it was supposed to be like this empowering, like take it back. And I'm a good enough artist that I can like change a painting, but to make it look like how I wish I had been at that time, or the me that I am now, or how I see myself, because it's very, I just look, but I haven't been able to do that project because I can't even look at it. I just shove it back in the corner, because I hate looking, and I'm like nude, and I hate looking. Sorry, it's so weird. It's like I'm literally choking on the experience. I hate looking at that me, because it was me through his eyes, and it was this weak, malleable, I don't even know. But yeah, he would scream at me with like neck veins coming out, and forehead veins and neck veins, and call me a moron, and call me an idiot, and call me the R word frequently. And my response to that was like, be with me, don't you want to be with me, don't you want to be with me, why don't you want to be with me? Ooh-wee. Yeah, that's unfortunately a hugely common psychology. And so I don't even know how to row this boat out of here. I'm just gonna say that happened. I am so glad that I am me now. I have had to rebuild myself several times over since then, but I've done it. I've done the work. I've gathered the pieces and put them back in newer, better, stronger. We can rebuild it. We can make her stronger. And I've done that. I've done that several times, and it's never easy to go, whoa, I am not to blame, but I did partially lead to all these freaking pieces of me being scattered all over the place. Now what? And you just gotta pick them up and help your friends pick them up. And I'm trying, but it's really, really hard when your friends just defy you and are like, they're spelling it out to themselves. They're saying who the villain is. They're casting the story. Villain. This person I'm choosing to love. Okay. Great. Super. So it's not easy. It's not easy to call out your friends. It's not easy to hold your friends accountable. It's not easy to call yourself out or hold yourself accountable. But it's necessary. It's vital. It's absolutely vital. So that's my message. I don't know. I feel so weird tonight, and I'm sorry the energy is this, because I was going to try to bring you this flashy thing, and this just felt more real and more important. So, please take action. Please don't take the road of inaction, because I feel like the harder things get in this world, the more people shut down and kind of just go, yeah, well, everybody has problems. And that is going to lead us nowhere. So, you gotta check in with people. You gotta check in with people, and you gotta hear the words laying right underneath the words they're saying, because sometimes what they're saying is actually just a veil over what's actually going on, and you gotta really practice listening, which I know people don't even, that's part of it, people don't even talk anymore, or respond to personal voicemails, or speak in complete sentences, but we've got to push for those things to make a comeback, because it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for humans if we keep going this way with just total shields over all of our senses and shields over our sense of ourselves and sense of each other, and just keep up defenses and go around bumping awkwardly into each other. It's gonna turn on us if we stay that route. So that's what I have to say about that. And be proud when you make choices to be with people who uplift you. Be proud when you make choices to be even just in contact with people who acknowledge you. It's harder to do than you think, because even someone like me who considers themselves to be like pretty in tune and pretty like, yes, I'm listening to messages of the universe, I've gotten swindled. I've gotten swindled by so many truly bad people. So, and I've been self-reflecting on this a lot. I'm like the queen of a million chances. Oh, you need a 999,000th chance? I grant it to you. No. You can't. No. You can empathize, you can relate, you can make room in your heart for forgiveness, but you can't go around giving people a million chances. Otherwise, your dance card is full of assholes. And you never get to have a good dance with the good guy who's waiting patiently for you to stop being done with the turds. Heard? Did you hear me? Okay, I hope so. Anyway, it's a heavy topic. I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But right now I'm gonna go brush my teeth and get this feeling out of my mouth if I can, and give myself a little hug, because I didn't fall for no thug. I didn't stick with that, and it was proven to me very quickly, in a super real and absolutely jaw-dropping, horrific way, how that could have gone for me. Because the very next girl, who was terrible to me, and we reconciled, and she admitted, things did not go well for her. And it so easily could have been me. And she's okay now. She's okay now, which I'm really glad for. And she finally saw that light too, which she was like not paying attention to for a long time. But that's about action. take that action. Because I told her right to her face, I'm not jealous of you, dude. I'm not jealous of you. I'm scared for you. I'm so scared for you. And then finally it came full circle. But, it takes a lot to make action. But please do it. So, wear your teal for all these things that I didn't even know had to do with so many, struggles and difficulties. But that's okay. I'm still proud to sport it. I still love the color and the sense it gives me, and I don't know, it's kind of like a renewed pride now. Like, yeah, I've been through all this muck, and I can put on my teal and say, I'm working through it. Not totally out the woods. Feel those snow white thorny things still trying to get me quite often, but working through it. So, thank you so much for being with me on day 96. And wow, we're just cycling right towards 100. So, let's go. Hope there's angels with you. Find grace in your heart. Listen to people. Listen to the words underneath their words. And take care of yourselves.